across that finish line, as we saw in his 2013 Mitsubishi Evolution, and they came out at P12 in his class, 36 overall.
Yeah, so Scott Birdsall, again, was not planning on running this Porsche initially. Had a different car lined up, but now is running in Time Attack 1 at
To race.
Yeah, just happy to get on course and give it a go. So while Danny Aiken is on the road, we've got the next driver on course. Yeah, so really cool story there. And of course, there's another look at Aweida. That Audi making some excellent noises past the halfway picnic grounds and making his way up towards Glen Cove, where again, we're running a shortened course because of high winds at the top of the mountain. I see another car rolling by me. It's David Hackel's number 2 Audi, another car that we'll get to talk about in a little while. All at the moment, if he were to continue at that pace. Trevor Aweida balancing through, tires right on the edge of the course, coming up over the crest here in a moment to Glen Cove. Here comes Trevor Aweida in the Pikes Peak Open category, the 1984 Audi across the stripe, and at the line will be a 4:47.630, puts him P9 in Pikes Peak Open. Great run there. Very solid thing, but some kind of, and he said he broke basically everything. And he broke something else today. Just sometimes how it goes. David Hackl off and away in the number 2. This is another really cool sounding car. When we get that shot with that the up close sounds, we got to listen to this thing. After a festival a couple of weeks ago, here comes David Hackl across the stripe in Pikes Peak Open. It is a 4:46.287. Goes 9th quick for David Hackl. Strong run there.
Sounds screaming past at full tilt. Always believed the engine didn't get as much tension as piston platforms, so felt the modern fuel and electronics were introduced. There's a lot on the table to modernize the engine, and that earned his reputation as the largest rotary YouTuber here.
Yeah, that's really, really cool. And another cool thing is this 1991 Audi 200 Avant, run by Scott Anderson, who's one of our 21 rookies here. He's competed in Spec Racer, the Skip Barber National Series, MX5 Cup, the 25 Hours of Thunder Hill, USF 2000, Indy Lights, and more category.
Another one of our 21 rookies here this year for the 2025 Pikes Peak International Hill Climb.
Yeah, for sure. So Scott Anderson, 2 minutes, .270 at the first section mark. Rob Dahm, 1:52.913. And that's actually a pretty solid time. Puts him about P30 overall. But again, in the Pikes Peak Open category. So again, we'll see where he lands. That would put him around an 8th or 9th place, if he could maintain that speed all the way to the top. Here comes Scott Anderson across the stripe. First run in his rookie season complete. Not all the way to the summit, but to the finish line for sure. 4:57.287. And that is going to be 12th in the Pikes Peak Open category on his rookie season.
I got Scott Anderson, and Scott Anderson has had quite the week. You lost an engine after, was it your first practice?
First test.
Oh,
so,
good, even better.
The test, 2 weeks ago. So we had a week to get it in, to find a motor and then get it in. So actually we were scrambling a lot, but we got one. It was donated to us, so kind of a mystery motor. We didn't know what we had, so it actually ended up being a little more spicy than the original motor, so it was kind of a plus. A lot
Do you
more
have
work,
us in your ear? Can you hear us at all?
In a way, we were a little bit glad that first one popped, so yeah.
That's awesome, buddy. And I don't know if you can get an award for the fastest Audi ever, but you can for sure get an award for the longest Audi ever. This is dude, talk me through this thing. It just keeps going.
Yeah, I mean, it likes to go straight, and straight's faster, so that was our strategy. Yeah.
I mean, nailed it.
Yep. Yeah, I think it's pretty smart. So
this has been a pretty heroic effort by the team to get this car put together as quick as they did.
Oh man, I mean, I decided probably 4 months ago that we were doing this. Even back then, we we're kind of like, I don't know if it's really going to happen. We thought we'd have a solid month or so of testing before we got here, but it ended up being a bunch of 2-3 a.m. mornings in a row, like weeks on end, and yeah, we basically got out of the paint booth, put body panels back on it at 4 a.m. in the morning, drove to the test, got 2 runs in, and then popped the motor. So that was how down to the wire it was. It's pretty nuts.
It feels like it's always like that with Pikes Peak Week, but at the end of the week, we're here. It's not the finish line you wanted, but it's a finish line. Congrats, buddy.
Yeah, thanks. Appreciate it.
Great work.
Thanks, Dave, and again, great run there. A 1986 Audi 4000, and I have to say, if you're shooting for Kyle's heart, this is the way you do it. I mean, this looks proper as far as hill climb cars are concerned. I know there's a lot of really cool cars here that have had so much engineering and design in them, but there's something about the period correct look Just the way that it was done back in the 80s, there's something really, really neat about this particular car. So Emmanuel Cecchet running this 2,500-pound Audi 2.3-liter turbo up the mountain here shortly.
He says the classic grippy Audi look, this 5-cylinder turbo sound, the Quattro AWD, is there anything more iconic? This is the timeless classic engraved in the history of Pikes Peak. And actually, Michelle Mouton's Pikes Peak car was #1, so we just added a 0 to symbolize the cloud of dust behind her car that we'll try to follow up the mountain, hence the number 10.
I love that. And again, the Audi Quattro system, when you think about motorsport, hold on. That's lovely. You think about motorsports technology and
Emmanuel also mentions that he was part of the NASA team who built this system to find lost wrenches on board the space station.
Well, that space station just flew by, 205,033, right past the halfway picnic grounds. Anything wrong necessarily, but again, there's the stories of street-driven cars on the run to Pikes Peak. Very, very cool.
And here we have Josh Tangen in a 2012 Audi TT RS. This is another one of our 21 rookies.
We've seen a couple of these Audi TTRSs, TTs and TTRSs here. Really neat cars. Again, sort of, I guess you could say the modern evolution of like the Audi 4000 that we see here on screen. Again, very similar in silhouette if you smooth all the edges out and keep the Quattro all-wheel drive. So really neat. Emmanuel Cecchet, a little slow there, leaving some of the hairpins, but a little puff of smoke, but just getting it into gear and continuing the climb up the mountain.
I love what Josh says here. When asked what inspired him to race to the clouds, said he moved to Monument and started seeing it every morning on the way to drop off his kids at school, and I always wondered what it'd be like to race.
Well, and you're going to solve that now. Again, for Josh Tangen, this is first year as a rookie. Again, running in the unlimited category, which is sort of it's a wide net. You can build basically anything for that class. And again, I think the expectations in year one are just get the experience. Again, resides at Larkspur, Colorado, so I'm sure he's very familiar with this area, very familiar with the mountain, and off and away goes Josh Tangen. This is another driver that we've also seen in Ultimate Street Car Challenge, Grid Lifetime Attack, and Global Time Attack as well. And a couple of those events at the Pikes Peak International Raceway, which is not too far from here. Here comes Emmanuel Cecchet across the stripe in the Audi 4000, 509,043, and that will be P16 in the Pikes Peak Open category. Job well done, and again, I can't wait to watch or look at the photos coming out of this event of that car. So cool. Greg Lumsden, 209,568 at the halfway sector marker there, and Shilin Wu also on the way up, and Alex Kim the next up in a moment's time. This is a 1985 Audi S1 E2 Tribute, 57-year-old out of Salt Lake City. And again, that classic Audi 5-cylinder all-wheel drive Quattro configuration. Why not pick a car like this? It was what it was built for. Is about 43rd overall, which would be sort of outperforming the qualifying effort, I think, quite a bit. And off and away goes Alex Kim, another one of our 21 rookies here this year. And SCCA Rallycross and USCA experience, but first year at Pikes Peak in the 57th year of age.
Alex mentions that achieving glory isn't about the trophies or the headlines, but fulfilling a goal he's had for himself for 40 years, racing and finishing Pikes Peak's International Hill Climb. And that so many drivers come here with that passion, with that drive. It's incredible to watch.
You talk about a driver that's, been around the block and seen some things. Greg Lumsden across the stripe, 523, 245, 22nd place in Pikes Peak Open. Shilin Wu, by the way, 158, 988 at that first sector marker. Not sure if I'd covered that already.
We're nearing our penultimate driver, actually, for the day, which is quite surprising, David Rowe. But I want to take this moment to thank you so much to the fans for watching at home, for being here at Pikes Peak with all of us. We know you got here nice and early or stood in some traffic to get here and sit and watch these cars run up the summit. Thanks so much to our camera crew, our operators, our volunteers who make this possible.
Thank you, Dave. And again, all those competitors that completed their runs up the shortened course got the donuts regardless. We got some yesterday, Ash, there. A nice, pleasant little snack once you get to the top of the mountain. Woo. Yes. The 75 car, you mentioned David Rowe off and away. Penultimate driver here of our 103rd running.
Yeah, he's in a 1986 Audi Quattro Group S, and this is his 5th year at Pikes Peak.
Yeah, 5th year at Pikes Peak. Best finish rather, 2nd in Time Attack 1 back in 2015. That was driving an Evo back then, but running a 1986 Audi Quattro Group S, as you mentioned, 50 years old, resides in Northamptonshire in the UK.
I love this. Ask what makes your car stand out from other vehicles. He says it's one of a kind. I built this from a few photos from the internet and a 1/16th model from Germany.
See, that's so cool.
It's
I
cool.
love that. I think having the vision and building the car that you want to build, there's not that many places to race cars in 2025 globally where you can look at a model car, look at pictures on the internet, and build whatever you want.
That's the passion and dedication I'm talking about that happens here at Pikes Peak.
The Mountain here with a turbocharged 750cc engine with from Suzuki make, and she resides in Black Mountain, North Carolina, so she'll be headed up in just a moment's time. And last year did not make it all the way to the summit, so we'll see if this year the American X-Kart Cross Kart will get there and complete the course.
Ryan Cheek was asked any Pikes Peak's heroes, and she mentions Michelle Mouton, the First Lady, to make claim on this mountain. I'll be honest, it was an absolute honor to interview Michelle. And I might have teared up. You guys didn't see it because we were on a break, but that was really, really emotional for me. It was such a big deal. It's such a role model, and it's incredible to see all these women out here in the paddock, race fans, etc. And it means so much to me as a woman in motorsport.
And cars continue to run up the mountain there. Alex Kim with a 2:17.443 waiting for Alex to get to the top. David Rowe, you see on screen now, 1:55.285 in Section 1. That's a pretty solid first section. That, as far as trending and tracking, as far as Section 1 is concerned, that's good enough to be about 40th overall, which as far as competing in the Pikes Peak Open category would... that's not quite, it's so close to top 10 if he can carry this on at this pace. So we'll see what David Rowe's got.
But yeah, but the mountain, the track also changes as we go on throughout the day. The temperature changes. We've laid down some rubber from the previous cars. There's so much track evolution happening right now, right towards this end.
Well, here comes Alex Kim across the line and completes the run at a 5:35.240, goes 24th in Pikes Peak Open. And again, photographs will be fantastic from that run, won't they? So waiting for David Rowe, and then of course Ryan Cheek will be the last competitor to head up the mountain, and that will be an open wheel category car, if we haven't mentioned that already, that cross kart. And don't go anywhere after the completion of this event, because we're hoping to also capture the descent here when everyone turns back around. So looking forward to that as well. David Rowe looked a little slow there, but last competitor of the 103rd running of the Broadmoor Pikes Peak International Hill Climb, Ryan Cheek, under the start gantry. It's only a fraction of some of the heavier cars we've seen. David Rowe trundling up the hill now. Seems like that car might be losing. I had lost a little power. Now it seems back on pace at the moment. Maybe it was a gearing issue or something, but can only speculate from a couple thousand feet above the course. Runner, not only an open wheel, and David Rowe struggling a little bit. That car has slowed up in a big way, but it seems like it's just momentary, and then it gets back on pace. So I'm not sure if it's a braking issue or he's having to be very easy off into the hairpins, if it's a gear potentially where he's got to skip a gear, but it does seem like a little bit labored under acceleration at the moment. Ryan Cheek not using all the width of the road, but in a car this light, you might not need to. Here's David Rowe, and he will make it to the finish regardless, and here comes the Audi across the stride, 5:12.314. So, again, we got a chance to talk to Michelle Mouton earlier today, one of the legends of rallying globally. And we talked about the global impact on this, but Lonnie Unser also made a successful run-up earlier today. Have a look at this piece with Michelle Mouton and Lonnie Unser, two of the women that have taken on Pikes Peak.
There are so many different things about Pikes Peak that solidified my love for this race, but my family is definitely one of those. I mean, seeing my family members like my Uncle Bobby, like my Uncle Al, and like my dad wheel up this place when it was in the dirt. Somebody like Michelle Mouton in her Audi just absolutely sending it up the mountain.
We just got word that Michelle Mouton has set a new rally class record, a time of 12 minutes, 10 seconds, and 38 hundredths.
Nice to meet you. It's an honor.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, you too.
Fantastic.
You too. How is it being back?
40 years later,
Yeah.
you know, it's an honor.
I have to thank you because as a woman in motorsports, there's many opportunities to make history. And for me coming into this race, it's cool that I don't have the opportunity to be the first woman to win. So you paved that way for me to come out here and hopefully one day get my name up here
Sure.
too. Did you ever meet my Uncle Bobby?
I don't remember really.
Well, it's funny because I know that he remembers you very clearly.
Okay.
I just really couldn't see some French girl, and I'm not knocking the French people, but I just couldn't see a French girl having the Pikes Peak record.
He was very upset that you beat his record.
I know. They have been all upset. They didn't like to see this woman coming from Europe with a rally car and beating them. When I started, I was the only one, really. So if I did it, I am not a superwoman. I am just a woman who worked very hard and was really extremely motivated.
It's cool to have somebody like that who we can all look up to and who we can say, wow, she was able to do that then. We can continue to break so many barriers. That's what racing should be. The car doesn't know who's behind the wheel. It's all about who goes out there and extracts the most from their vehicle.
There is no gender equality barrier in motorsport. I always claimed that. I hope I gave them this opportunity to realize that it was possible and that they can continue behind.
I think Michelle should have been inducted into the Hall of Fame a long time ago, but I'm so glad that it's happening now.
For me, it's just a clear declaration that I am part of history of this fantastic hill. I am quite proud of that, and if people will remember that, I am also very pleased.
I think it would be really funny if my Uncle Bobby saw us together today.
Yes,
I wonder what he would think.
I don't know what he would say.
And what a great meeting, what a great story to tell there. And it was such a pleasure to talk to Michelle earlier today, one of the legends in global motorsport here, Ash. So, again, ending with an unfortunate stoppage for Ryan Cheek. Again, something let go in that car. Last runner of the day here from the 103rd running of the Broadmoor Pikes Peak International Hill Climb. Cody Vaschholz headed down the hill there. That was just in shot. Cody Powelson as well. A little bit of a stoppage there. And you can
Isn't it great
see
to hear
now.
these cars again?
Look at that shot. I don't think we've ever had a shot like that before. That's what it looks like when there's more than one car on it at a time. Which is most of the time, actually. But just take it in. I think the other thing to consider is when these drivers head up the mountain, they're not paying attention to the scenery. They're not looking out for landmarks. They're just focused on the task at hand, and this is the time, after all these weeks of charging up this mountain so fast and so hard, they get a chance to slow down and take it in for the natural beauty that is this Pikes Peak, Colorado region.
I think I mentioned a very small waterfall, and a driver goes, "What are you talking about?" And it's like, yeah, they're not looking around. They're focused on their apex, their corners, etc. So now they take it in. So go in, wave to the spectators, say hello, and thank them for being here.
The diversity in cars, even within class. If you're a motorsport fan, if you're a car racing fan, you know, it's not pack racing, it's not endurance racing, it's not everybody's cup of tea, but you have to admit that the diversity of cars from the 1960s to 2025, front engine, mid-engine, rear engine, gas power, E85, hydrogen, electric propulsion, all these things make this a truly special event.